maldito me la va a deber. Porque yo soy indio, no debo de saberlo. Para guerra no debe de suceder. Milicia del masacre es injusto que no den a mi pobre gente que no
We're live. Hello and welcome to It's Happening Show, community grassroots media for the people, by the people. I'm Jose Gloria.
And I'm Dylan Thompson. We are your hosts tonight.
We are your hosts indeed.
You raising the roof?
No, I was pointing.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would accept all encouragement on this stage. Thank you. My dearest, dear co-host.
It's happening as a movement of the heart and of the mind. It's the energy of the universe that creates waves inside us and all around us, which allows us to activate, motivate, then elevate vibrationally and intellectually towards love, truth, justice, and wisdom. It's happening in every which way.
It's Happening is a culture of empowerment. It's people having the right to exist and participate as equals. It's a dream of what the world could be, but the future we want is only possible if we make it happen. So stand up, get informed, and fight back.
Pew, 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 pew. Fight back. Pew. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us, so we thank you because of you.
It's happening.
It's
Woo. Whoa. I almost forgot the name of the show there.
After 6 years, Dylan Thompson.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's this muscle memory. It came out anyway.
It really is. But even still, I sometimes forget my cues. But yeah, 6 years, dude. We're celebrating, of course, our sixth year month. Or
you remember the anniversary?
I remember,
dude.
What did you get me?
Oh.
I remember. Nothing.
Oh man, ouch! The truth hurts.
I got flowers for you when we stop social distancing.
Wow, I hope they were obtained in a just fashion.
Maybe we can. Yeah, I'll go to your balcony. We'll have a Romeo and Juliet bro moment.
Yeah, something. Maybe hold up a stereo. I don't know. That'd be like if we broke up, but you never know what can happen between shows.
Yeah, good times.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of good times, the
or
weather
not.
The
opposite of good times.
The sarcasticness of good times.
Oh yes, weather, everyone. Yeah. That's right, covered here.
Yeah,
you heard it first. You might not have noticed if you're living here, but it was hot.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that, but in a little bit later on, we're gonna have guests joining us that are candidates for the Huntington Beach City Council. So that's gonna be exciting. Have them on. We've had Oscar Rodriguez in the past, of course, but we're gonna have a couple of other candidates joining us. So that's gonna be great. But
oh yeah,
first, this weather. Damn it!
What?
It's been crazy. It hurts to walk around the reflection from the cement on your eyes. Ugh.
Yeah, we're all getting a taste of Arizona, maybe for a couple days.
Have you survived, good sir? Because
oh man, people
have been struggling right now.
Yeah, wait, I don't go out much since COVID, but can you go to the movie theater now or no? Is that off limits, right? Is that considered danger? Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I used to do to escape, go to an air conditioned, common area. And, but yeah, I mean, we're running that AC and I'm worried about it. I hope it holds together.
Right. But, it has been record shattering, in fact. So.
Yeah. Apparently LA County has a highest temperature on record now.
121 degrees. Man,
that's sticky.
And not the good kind.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. So it's been absolutely crazy. California, Nevada, and Arizona are in the midst of an excessive heat wave. During the Labor Day weekend. So I went to the pool because that's what needs to happen, man.
Oh yeah, that works.
But a lot of people went to the beach, of course. But be careful with the beach because next thing you know, you get really bad sunburn, and you're like, wow, I wanted to not be more uncomfortable and in pain. Here I am dealing with, second degree burns.
It's definitely a risk for me being inside 99% of the time now. So
I think Edgar mentioned that, little color in your skin looking a bit pale there.
Yeah, I need to update my filter here to give a nice orange glow to my skin. A little Trump filter I can download for Zoom. But yeah, I mean, this weather has also contributed to also record fires, right, happening in California. I mean, basically, I mean, I saw today like the light is tinted orange, and you can see these maps they've released of the smoke clouds just drifting south all over California. So we're seeing smoke from a variety of different fires, right? Apparently, the governor declared an emergency in 5 counties due to these fires. That would be Fresno, Madera, Mariposa counties, San Bernardino, and San Diego. So yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I woke up this morning and I saw ashes on.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a lot. I think I've been around when more because the fire was closest, but you look out and life feels surreal because this tint of all the destruction going on. It's like this is not our year.
Yeah,
it really is not.
Seriously, we survived the murder hornets, and now this. Come on.
Yeah, top of everything. This year is the gift that keeps on giving, and and the most. Where's they're saying that because of climate change, this is going to be continuing to be an issue in our society, and especially in California and places that are prone to these type of things. The weather or the fire season has just been elongated, and really it's fire season all season. And so we have to be more mindful of the type of things that we do in nearby brushes because according to CNN reporting, a pyrotechnic device at a gender reveal party sparked one of the California wildfires, burning over 8,600 acres. And really, like, can you just turn it down to a couple of notches there? Like, what kind of it was a smoke generated pyrotechnic device used at a party in El Dorado sparked San Bernardino fire. So this is just ridiculous on so many levels. People are saying gender reveal, that's can we just not do those also? Or at the very least get them creative, because of course in society people are having a more a conversation around gender. And I even read today about how the woman who created gender release parties herself has distanced herself from the practice or gender reveals.
Not just the explosions, but just generally.
In general, and especially when explosives near brush is used. Dang it.
Right. Yeah, because if we're going by a kind of this understanding of a difference between sex and gender, you couldn't really know the gender of your child at that stage. But then it's weird to call it a sex reveal party. Like, wait, what? Wait, what are we going to again? Like, how do I dress for this, by the way? Like, do I even? Yeah, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's problematic language here.
Well, I'll have to figure out something else, but it's, but more importantly, this is ridiculous reasons for setting off crazy amounts of fires and people that now are putting themselves at danger. Right, like firefighters, as we've learned from the past, a lot of prison labor is used to fight these fires, and then they can't use this experience when they get out of prison and are shunned because of their record. This is terrible stuff, but there's some amazing people like at the front lines. Those are some serious heroes. And on Labor Day today, happy Labor Day to all. I want to definitely uplift all the heroes out and working in agriculture. The migrant workers that are not having the day off and are still paid below minimum wages and are incredibly exploited, and we benefit from that, for the cheap produce that we get to get each and every day when we go to the store. So those workers especially, but all workers on this day.
The fake May Day.
Fake May Day.
Okay, let's not get into that.
So, but no, the concept of labor is very much important, and that's why we have to keep continuing to fight for workers' rights all day, every day. You know, power to the people. All right, that was my bit about that today. But
Ooh, no musical segment today because you did the little op-ed there. So you spent your spontaneous segment credit for the episode.
Indeed. Okay, so another a very important story that happened was the mass surveillance program that was exposed by Snowden was said to be illegal, according to a judge here in the United States. So, there was been a lot of reporting, not a lot of reporting actually, in mainstream media, but Reuters and other different news organizations have said that this in a lot of ways vindicates Snowden when he was saying my government was doing something that I didn't believe was legal and I wanted to expose it. So that he went ahead and did it. So much so that that even Representative Matt Gaetz, who's a strong Trump supporter, has called for Donald Trump to pardon Edward Snowden. Even so,
that'd be something.
Yeah, I just thought this was really an important story in this legacy of this man, and what will be a legacy of. Was he a whistleblower or was he a traitor? And different people have different thoughts about him and other whistleblowers, right?
Oh yeah, big time. But yeah, that's an important court decision. See what happens next. Because do you know what level of court, or I mean, this might have to go up a chain as it typically does. But yeah, it's good to hear news on this. To hear some actual progress within the system regarding this.
Correct.
Actually, yeah. God bless his soul. And the thing about COVID and Snowden is he was ready. He's I'm Zoom all the time, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, it's
he was zooming all over the place.
Yeah,
that's all he could do.
He's popular on Twitter. He's living his best life right now. Well, not really. I mean, he wishes he was home, but
yeah, God bless his soul.
but yeah, no. So we'll see what happens with that. But next quick story.
Oh yeah, we got some drama in the Orange County Democratic Party. Apparently,
dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. One of our vice chairs has resigned from leadership amid uproar over a post he made about Ho Chi Minh. So evidently, this top official shared a post that was it was pretty much praising Ho Chi Minh for being anti-imperialist, right? But any praise given toward this really divisive figure, right, is going to trigger a lot of people in our community, especially people from our Vietnamese community. A lot of people have come from families that are expats from what was happening after the revolution during these land reform programs that saw the executions of tens to hundreds of thousands of basically landlords, and a lot of them were not just cases. So I understand the terror that was put on those people, and so I'm just curious about this because this is just a tactfully the wrong move, because technically Ho Chi Minh was involved in the anti-imperialist struggle, but I mean, you have to be careful levying praise like this. I mean, you need to know the backstories of all these things. And, you could bring that up in an analysis about Ho Chi Minh, but to simply levy praise as an important public official in this political party, I mean, yeah, dangerous territory. But I mean, if factually, it was accurate. So.
Yeah, it's, one can have a very much longer conversation about how complicated the Vietnam War was, and the different sides of all of that, and it's the same for Cuba, and it's the same for any country that has dealt with communism and the fight, that was all of the whole war machine for America for many years was back fighting communism all over the world, and we come from a different place, but what hasn't changed is the stories behind and the trauma. So that was wrong for him to have shared that within his position in leadership, and so that was something that has to be recognized. That the real trauma. My personal just thing is like the how politics for some people, not all people, definitely not for Vietnamese people that felt this pain, but for some folks it's like, do you really care about the Vietnamese trauma, or do you care about the Vietnamese votes, and from all sides of the political spectrum. That's just what kind of gets and like, I think it's a conversation that's been had for all races, right? Whether it's Hispanics or Black people's, right? Like the pandering that constantly has to be done in politics. But it's like we're not one issue people, right? There's a lot of different things that we need in order to feel solidarity from our local elected officials. So I hope that conversation is not lost. And
Yes.
so yeah, and do not mention Ho Chi Minh ever again, Democrats or anybody. Like,
at least in that context. But here's the thing, like, kind of, if you do care about the votes or the people, I feel like if you cared about the community, you'd probably know this, right? I mean, it's hard. Yeah, we can't all be an expert on every community and stuff, but I mean, in this position, I mean, perhaps it's warranted.
Indeed. Moving on to our next
story.
So this is funny. Trump boat parade sees God smite them and sinks the boat. This was my headline that I just created right now, but basically, as was being reported by multiple news sources, Trump boat parades are a thing. I think they happen in Newport Beach and other beaches locally here. People go out and are have the Trump flags on their boats and are just, yeah, America, freedom, and all that cool stuff, like bashing their head up with beer and like chugging it.
Is that like a social distancing activity, I guess? Or I don't know if they do it anyway, but okay.
Just like maritime.
Safe.
Yeah, just the open ocean has always been like,
yeah, uncharted territory.
Yeah, game for everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that and so one has to wonder, is God a Republican or a Democrat? And I say this facetiously, obviously, but the reality is, again, God is like being used as like, I saw a political lawn sign on the way here said, "In God we trust." And it's like, first of all, God, I don't think he cares about local politics. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Oh, well.
I think he has bigger things to talk about. But
he cares about the people. Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, so I mean, when we talk about like how Mike Pence says that, God talks to him and like, so that's how he dictates policy. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I feel is like just weird. But anyways, so Trump, sad times and crazy symbolism behind the Trump boats going down over the weekend. But,
went down. Were people injured, or I mean, what, are they okay, or were they plundered? I mean, are there pirates involved?
Yeah, it was just there was too many boats, and when people are not social distancing on boats, they create these waves, and these waves create these situations.
Interesting situation.
where boats sink, and there's just really great memes and pictures. I encourage y'all. Luckily, nobody was injured or killed, but still, it was the story of the week.
Story of the week. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
next story. Little announcement here I was just going to make for Santa Ana. We got several forums coming up for our city council and the mayor positions that are coming out. So this week, there's Connect Council's doing a forum for Ward 1, 3, and 5 candidates. That'll be at 6 p.m. And the week after so that first event was the 10th, Thursday, September 10th. The mayoral forum, Connect Council is running one. That's going to be September 17th, 6 p.m. So it's this next week. And even the Chamber of Commerce is organizing their own. It's going to be a big one because they're doing all the candidates on the same night. So that's coming later in the month, and we can post some links here. But yeah, plenty of opportunity to hear from from our candidates coming up, and I don't doubt. I think probably other groups will be organizing their own, and we'll keep people up to date as we get the information.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
Dylan Thompson.
Technical difficulties expected. No. Yeah.
I think you got this, baby. Yeah.
Expect the best, prepare for the worst, right?
Bringing democracy to you.
Take that.
Yeah. So we here at It's Happening pride ourselves on all sorts of creating platforms for candidates, grassroots candidates, and elected officials and people on the front lines of the issues that are affecting our residents, our community people, here in Orange County and throughout. So with that, I want to go ahead and bring on to the show our 3 guests for this evening.
Woo!
Be candidates for the Huntington Beach City Council. So we got Natalie Moser, Dan Kalmick, and Oscar Rodriguez.
Woo! Welcome.
Natalie Moser grew up and raised her family in Huntington Beach. She attended Orange Coast College, graduated from Cal State Long Beach, and with a Bachelor of Arts in History, and completed her MBA at Chapman University. Natalie worked in financial services and credit union industry before shifting her focus to family and creative entrepreneurship, opening up a photography business. She has a wide range of volunteer experience from Scouts School to community service. She's a founding member of McKenna Clare Foundation of Pediatric Brain Cancer and is herself a cancer survivor. Appointed to the City of Huntington Beach Human Relations Task Force in 2017. She is currently chairperson and received the 2020 Diverse Community Leader Award from OC Human Relations. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thank you.
Woo! That is awesome. And my friend of the show, back on the show, Oscar Rodriguez, is an asset manager and for Orange County Community Housing Corp., who grew up in working-class Oakview neighborhood of Huntington Beach. 2015, the activist co-founded local grassroots group Oakview Comunidad, which seeks to serve marginalized neighborhoods throughout the city. Rodriguez is emphasizing education, advocacy, and empowerment for his campaign. Welcome, sir.
Gracias. Good to be back, actually. It's like my, third or fourth time being on the show.
Dude.
I think.
Yeah, you're getting up there to Jose Moreno and Matt Cedillo.
We go way back.
Way back.
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah, man. And we have as well Dan Kalmick. Dan is a Seal Beach native who bought his home in Huntington Beach in 2005, where he currently resides with his wife, Allison, and daughter, Samantha. His passion for public service and community involvement dates back to his childhood when he opened his first business at the age of 11 to help people fix their computers. With a degree in electric and computer engineering from UC Berkeley, he continued his passion for technology throughout his career and is recognized as a leading voice in the movement to bring affordable internet to every home and business in Huntington Beach. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's get it started. First of all, I like that Oscar changed. He's got like a nice little suit and tie. That was not how he looked before. I'm not going to go into how he looked
out.
But
hey, you threw me off, Oscar.
Yeah.
Hey, I knew that we were going to be on cue for a couple of minutes and we were going to shift. So I was like, I don't have time to put something on.
There we go. No. Yeah.
Productive. You found time.
Dude, Oscar is all dressed to impress, no doubt. Yeah. So
I tried.
Go ahead and give it a chance for all 3 of you to kind of, maybe expand on what I read as far as your bio, and why you're running, why you wanted to jump into this 15-person deep race to be on the city council. We'll start with you, Natalie Moser.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. My bio was a mouthful already, so I won't go on too much about that. But really, 2015, I mentioned in there that I had breast cancer, and it was really kind of an opportunity for me my family to kind of take a step back, slow down, because I tend to be somebody that's always kind of on the go and doing things. And, as I healed, everything fortunately went well. And 2016 happened. We all know what happened in 2016, craziness in the world. And I really felt at that moment like that was far worse what was happening in our world than what was happening to me the year prior. And so I decided, after being sad and angry for a little while, that I wanted to get involved in the local community even more, in our kids' school and the PTO. That's when I got into the Human Relations Task Force. And as I jumped in more and more, I got more involved in homelessness and, then affordable housing and things like that as well. I really just started to see how important it is to have people on the dais and in local government who really represent what I stand for and what others I know stand for. And at the time, many times throughout these last couple of years, I didn't feel that. And so really that's why I'm here. And then the other piece too is I really wanted to be able to bring a sense of being reasonable and being able to have a civil dialogue with one another and to be able to move things forward in our city. Because so much of the time I really felt that wasn't happening, and that we really, it was making it hard in the last couple of months, especially maybe the last 6 months, to be very proud of our community, where I know there's so much to be proud of. Our community members are amazing. And so I want our leadership to also demonstrate that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Dan, why you want to run, brother? Like, seems like, got a lot of things going on. You can throw some more things on your plate. Take one for the team, for the community, I guess, right?
Right. Isn't that the way, if you ever want to get something done, you give it to the busiest person? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I've been serving in our local government now for in excess of 9 years. I kind of got involved in 2008. I was kind of inspired. Former Congressman Rohrabacher actually inspired me to get involved. He was saying horrible stuff on the internet, or actually on an NPR story, and kind of got me wondering, like, is this the guy that represents me? I don't agree with anything he has to say. How do we make change for that? So I worked on Debbie Cook's campaign in 2008 when she ran, and that kind of introduced me to a bunch of folks in Huntington Beach. And I ran for city council in 2008, and then 2010, I was like 27, 28 at the time. But that was like the only thought that I had to get involved in local government was like, well, you got to run for something, right? That's what you do. But then having met everybody, that was like, I think that one of the great things is that you run, everyone has to invite you to stuff. So I got to meet a bunch of great activists in the community, a bunch of great members of the party. And then Jill Hardy appointed me to the Planning Commission. And then my nerd just took off, right? Like, I became a big planning nerd, got really deep into it. I've been asked to speak at conferences about climate change and adaptation in our general plan. Served on our general plan committee, and really, really took to kind of planning and kind of how it's one of the biggest pieces that the city does from a quasi-judicial and legislative standpoint. And so that really kind of inspired me to bang my head against the wall quite a bit, because planning commissioners don't make policy, right? We're just there to implement the policy. So I get hundreds of people showing up at a planning commission meeting, pointing the finger, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to my city? And it occurred to me, rather simply, like, well, we're our city. We can really set our own rules. And so, but I don't have the tools as a planning commissioner. And so city council is what makes those rules. And the fact that we've kind of come out of compliance on our housing element, and then back in, and then out of compliance, and then back in. I think, as Natalie said, we need reasonable people. We need folks that can come together and work with people, instead of trying to either score political points or create run for higher office out of city council, like we've had some folks do, and then try to come back after that they weren't successful trying to run for a higher office. So it really comes down to, I think, smart people that are going to be able to hit the ground running as we go forward here with COVID. And it really has inspired me is this, I think, as Natalie spoke to earlier, is a lack of leadership on our council, right? We're just not seeing folks. I love Huntington Beach. I'm raising my family here. I chose to move here from Seal Beach in 2005. My dad's actually the mayor pro tem of Seal Beach now. So we're joking that if you want anything done between Newport and Long Beach, you're gonna have to go through a Kalmick. So that's that's kind of our just kind of the back thought, but it really comes down to we need to move our city forward. We've been kind of running in place for 10 years now, and I think with a couple of folks you see here and myself, I think we've got a really, really good group of folks that are going to be able to make that change.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I feel that, and last, and man, there's a lot of things that you mentioned that's we definitely want to get into So, but definitely you being in that position, at planning commission, you see like all the the decisions are at stake, the projects, and and by the time people realize that things are happening, it's too late, type of thing. So with the importance of getting more people civically engaged. But thank you, Dan. Oscar Rodriguez. I think last we had you on when we were talking about the Central Committee race. We'll see, right? But before that, we had you and the homie Victor Valladares. The Oakview boys, as some call them. Yeah, man. So like, a lot of people see you as a rising star, I guess, in ways, but with the Democratic Party, and and really one of the issues was around environmental justice, right? And the things that were happening, as you told us before, with the dump sites and the smells and the toxins around children, but from there to other issues like water desalination and such, right? So, but why are you running for city council, man? And what's inspiring you to take this to the next level?
Yeah, so thanks again for having me again. It's really good to see, what you all have been doing, sharing the knowledge, throughout Orange County. And I know, now you're expanding out to Huntington Beach and all the beach cities. So it's really good to see that. I started organizing in 2015, but prior to that, I was involved in many local nonprofits here in Huntington Beach, precisely in the Oakview neighborhood. That's where I grew up. But really, these organizations had a lasting effect in me, and thanks to them, I am where I am today. I went to Cal State Long Beach, majored in healthcare administration, and actually right there, it's where I realized that, there's a lot of environmental issues going on throughout the region that we don't really talk about or know about because we're not involved. And so the first thing that, with Victor, we started organizing again in 2015 with the Rainbow Environmental. And that's where we kind of saw our involvement being not just in environment, but also with the local Democratic Party, because it's all aligned. So we started connecting the dots and who were the players and who were making moves and who was getting elected. And that's where I am today. I'm running for office. I'm 26 years old. I didn't know, Dan, that when you ran for office, you were 27, but I think we're around the same age when you started. And, the issues that, probably were being talked about back then, I think are some of the same issues that we're seeing today. We see marginalized communities that are not being taken into consideration. We have environmental impact reports that are being ignored. Just say you brought up the Poseidon desalination plant that is trying to be being built in Huntington Beach. So mainly running on a platform of, I mentioned earlier, empowerment, advocacy, making sure that our neighbors in those marginalized communities are being heard and we're being taken into consideration. I've been to Sacramento many times. I've lobbied in Sacramento for issues also regarding our environment. I've been working with an organization called Azul, which is in Oakland, providing also helping them out with fighting the Poseidon plant here. And so we have a couple meetings coming up with Santa Ana Regional Water Board. So I have all that information for you as well. But, that's kind of how I got started. I just, went to Cal State Long Beach and I learned that in certain areas of LA, there was some environmental issues going on, but, there was one right here in my local community. So, run for Central Committee. We won with over 13,000 votes. And so really happy to be part of that. And, like Natalie and Dan mentioned earlier, it's all about making sure that the leadership, represents what a lot of folks in the community are talking about. And so that's what we want to bring. We want to bring those voices back to the local communities. I don't hold my events at the golf course. My events are in the neighborhoods. And so that's what we're going to do. And that's how we're going to bring those votes in.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, so I want to follow up with you guys. Natalie and I think others mentioned needing to be able to work with each other, right? On the council to actually get things done. And maybe I can tie in COVID to this. I mean, seeing just the news stories from not living in the city, I mean, I can definitely see there's a lot of conflict regarding even how the city's interacting with the state. And I don't know if that issue, those policies are divisive within the community or the city council. And we also see Huntington Beach also coming out with a lot of like anti-mask protests and stuff. Yeah. So maybe Natalie, could you tell me a little bit about like, are these COVID policies like very controversial within the community and the city council? And how would you kind of navigate these things?
Sure. Thanks for letting me have that first.
Okay, give you the big one.
Yeah, no, and I think we can work together on this too. I mean, I think that it is divisive in our city. You know, in different parts of the city, we're a larger, you know, small city, I guess, but we're still pretty big. And if you go from one end of town to the other, you see, I think, very different usage of masks, you know, from one spot to the next, and very different opinions about that. You know, as a mom, you know, I'm definitely of the mind that I want my kids to get back to school. And I think that if we did a better job up front, especially with leadership all the way from the top, you know, down at really enforcing and leading on, you know, safety protocols, mask wearing, social distancing, and really demonstrating how important that was and that things were real. You know, I think that my kids could probably maybe be starting back to school, you know, at least hybrid up front and hopefully in person sooner than later. Because I really think that to get our economic engine going, we need to be mindful and follow the evidence, follow the science. And I don't really think that that's what took place. And I know that, you know, locally in other cities, there has been a different effort, you know, to enforce masking. And that's definitely, you know, a challenging conversation in that, you know, what are you able to enforce and how and who's to do it? You know, it definitely takes the will of leadership and partnering with organizations, you know, like law enforcement to make sure that happens. But it also, I think it's important that, you know, it would be great if we didn't have to enforce anything, right? If we could get people to, you know, listen to the information, be educated, and you know, self-enforce, then that'd be the best way to go. But you know, we have to look at the data and see how people are really responding to determine, you know, what our best case forward is. And I think that council definitely had an opportunity early on. Obviously, this was an unprecedented situation, so I don't fault them up front for not knowing kind of how to deal with things. But I do think that there was a missed opportunity there that is we're seeing now in, you know, or we, especially over the summer, we're seeing in the data, you know, we were locked down now more. So I think that fortunately our numbers are decreasing, but, you know, going back to school and opening back up, it's imperative that we continue to follow those guidelines and the social distancing and mask wearing.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Huntington Beach, I've seen as always been like a city that to me, at least people outside of Huntington Beach, it's like they're always getting into fights with the state government on stuff, you know. Yeah. So you know, and I think back on like housing and how, you know, like you need to build this, and Huntington Beach's like, no, screw you, Newsom. And so there's this whole screw you, Newsom kind of feeling there, you know, with all things. So then it even extends past all the issues that make sense to things that don't make sense. Like, oh, you want me to wear a mask? You know what? Screw you.
Yeah, it's like everything's an opportunity for political theater. And I think that is what I know the three of us do not want. We want to actually, you know, lead and not get into fights with the state.
Right. Yeah. That's what we need from candidates.
Exactly. So. I mean, Natalie, you hit the point right on, which is it's political theater, right? We have two factions of Republicans on our council that are jockeying for higher office or some other thing. We don't really know what they're running for. We have an elected city attorney as well, which a lot of cities do not, which creates a political person. So you have in our COVID response, you have our city manager who is appointed by our city council, our chief of police who is also appointed by our city council, so cannot be fired by our city manager. We have an elected city attorney who cannot be fired by our city manager, and we have an elected city council. So we have this guy who's like the president of the city, essentially, he's the chief executive officer. who doesn't have a lot of leverage on the folks he needs to be able to do stuff. And getting legal advice as the city's attorney and not the people of Huntington Beach's attorney is, as a political figure, I think has become majorly problematic, right? Like in my campaign 2 years ago, he threatened to sue me publicly. He was wrong and had to retract. He threatened to sue me over using the HB logo, which I knew I was right on because I know what I'm doing. And he came out in support. He endorsed candidates, which is, according to the state of California Bar Association, is unethical for an elected city attorney to, because it's basically he's picking his bosses at that point. So we have some major issues with that. And this political theater that's going on has sown political animosity between folks where they're trying to put stuff in front of the council as gotchas. So that, hey, let's sue the state. And then it's like, yeah, I'll go along with that because it'll make so-and-so look bad. And they don't lose any political because it's, Republicans suing the state. That's great for all the Republican friends. And so it's trying to get our city council back to nonpartisanship, right? Trying to get back to working to solve problems of paving streets, dealing with our pension liabilities, but making sure that we have, folks show up when you call 911, making sure our parks are cleaned up, taking care of our homeless, and making sure we've got housing for folks. I got an email from a former planning commissioner's son, who's, his planning commissioner much older, but his son's, probably about 10 years older than me, 20 years older than me, and said, Dan, I don't want you to, if I support you, you have to say you're never going to build any more housing in the city because we're overcrowded. And I'm like, that's exactly why we're overcrowded, is because we don't have enough housing. Now, I'm not saying we need to build a bunch of Elons up and down Beach Boulevard. A bunch of folks think I do, right? They read an article from 2015. They take one quote, which is my opinion of what I think is going to happen, as my own opinion, and that's exactly who I am now for the rest of my life, even though I have 8 years of a voting record on the Planning Commission, including denying multiple high-density projects, voting to lower our density cap, or excuse me, our development cap on Beach Boulevard so we could figure out what our new plan was for the city. Unfortunately, we never picked that back up. But I think it's really about having folks that, if we can break this animus that's on council and marginalize some of the council members that aren't there to do work, that they're there to stop what anybody else wants to do. And we have this faction of folks in town that are zero-sum game folks. We have no ideas of our own, but we know you may have an idea, but we don't care if it's good or not. We just don't want you to be successful. And it's that lack of civility and lack of the body politic being responsible and operating in good faith that has really fractured our city. And I think to say I'd say that it fractures the 2,000 people that really pay attention. Right. I think that the gross majority of folks, like, SB 54, they're not like everyone at that meeting when we were talking about suing the state, which we ended up losing, said we're from out of the city. There was a couple hundred, maybe 100 people total that were maybe there, but of the 500 or so that showed up, right, that they didn't live here. It's on the train of wedge politics, right? One of those things was the In God We Trust logo on our city hall was another wedge. Same group of folks. Let's create a wedge issue in a community, and then we'll play people off into their own little tribes.
That's exactly what I was referring to earlier with that. And I think that's one of the hardships of politics is that it gets really silly and toxic, and it puts us into these categories of the NIMBYs and the and the non-NIMBYs and the pro homeless and anti-homeless. It gets dichotomized in ways that it really isn't. It's very much a spectrum, and people 90% of the people that live I feel a certain kind of way, but they're not. It's complex. But Oscar, I want to ask you, because I think one of the things about Huntington Beach is that it is an at-large city compared to a lot of other cities that are now have switched to the by district election because of the lack of representation, and obviously it comes down to like a Voting Rights Act, and cities have to be sued, or threatened. That's why Santana and Orange, otherwise they wouldn't do it. I mean, Anaheim was the first to get it to be done. But it's really about, one, putting down the minority, vote, but also putting down like progressive or, community oriented type of grassroots candidates that could have a chance if they were to just focus on their city and not have to work at the whole city. But I mean, what do you think are some of the things that like you feel you would like to bring to the council based on the community that you grew up in Oakview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, you're going back to like it's going to feed off into this. So what Dan and Natalie mentioned, about the anti-mask and our city attorney really trying to fight the state in several different, including kind of like the Voter Rights Act and districting and opposing districting. It's it goes to show how unproductive it is, and not only that, but like Dan mentioned, we lost a lawsuit, and that's going to cost us money in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's through insurance, our insurance covers it. We're still paying for insurance, so tax dollars are being used. In terms of representation, Huntington Beach is 20% Latino. There isn't a lot of, the city claims that there isn't a lot of data because I've worked prior to announcing that I was running. Victor and I, try to look at ways that we could, maybe split the city into districting, whether that be through, if there's data available or not. The city actually back in, forgot what year it was, had a study and actually supported districting because, it's all about the city or city attorney and kind of like these folks who have this idea about local control really want to have local control. Well, the only way you do that is by having the city split and making sure that local individuals vote for that candidate, kind of like what you all have in Santana through wards or in Anaheim. And so really that's why one of the reasons too why I decided to run as well, because I felt that one, I think that being involved in local politics, I've seen what has happened with Dr. Moreno in Anaheim, with Betty Valencia in the city of Orange, and how things can get accomplished when you have smaller districts. Trying to outreach to 90,000 voters or 40,000 if you're just reaching out to one party, like the Democratic Party voters. It's tough. You have to raise a lot of money. And sometimes, we as candidates, we're reached out by individuals and, hey, you want to get this PAC money, you want to do this, you want to do that. And, when I signed on to run for office, I was like, I'm going to be a grassroots candidate and really not be beholden to the special interest. But when you're trying to outreach to thousands of voters, sometimes, folks give in. And so I think it's time that we try to look at that. And hopefully that with our campaign, we're able to prove that we have the capacity and ability and the data to prove that, maybe districting could be something positive for the city.
Absolutely. And you brought up a lot of important points. One thing I want to bring up is, just the good work that you and Victor and other folks of Oakview have been doing with the food distributions during this COVID time, because, as mentioned earlier with Natalie, this is a very important issue for the community of Huntington Beach. And in particular, I think it's frustrating when you see anti-maskers / vaxxers, doing their protests. Meanwhile, we know that, what are we, 4 times as likely as Latinos to get COVID, and our city council is not, is ignoring those because they don't have representation, on the council as far as, representing their best interests, and really going, like full, like, well, who knows? Like maybe QAnon has something good things about it, like, as like how Anaheim and Santana have the highest number of COVID-19 cases, based on the zip code data. 92647, which is in Huntington Beach, is one of the zip codes that has the highest on our side. Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, all the beach cities. So 92647 is one of those. And so, that's where Oakview is. That's where a lot of the apartment complexes are in our city. And so we were trying to figure out why 92647. We started realizing that a lot of the folks in our community and our side of town are the ones that are fueling the tourism industry in times of COVID-19 as well. And that's why when we talk about the anti-mask movement, when we talk about, we want to reopen up, it's making sure that we educate businesses that, wearing masks because of the science is there,
we could reduce the spread. And what better way to do it than making sure that your employees have the proper protections, that you educate your employees on hand sanitizing, that you educate them on wearing their masks the proper way. Because a lot of our folks in our communities are the ones that are fueling these industries, the restaurant industry, the tourism industry, because quite frankly, people still visit the beach, and, gas stations need to be open, banks are open. And so it's making sure that we can educate those business owners as well, educate their employees so that we can reduce. And we can talk about a lot as well, like, overcrowding in our apartments, which also causes another stressor in our community. You
Oscar.
have 2-3 families living in a.
No, Oscar, you bring up that's, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's the point that you're starting to see folks push is like, we can't have any more we can't have any denser housing than single family homes because it'll spread COVID. And it's like, whoa. So the whole planning community like pushed back hard on that, right? Because they looked at, why does Manhattan have such a great outbreak, but Seoul, South Korea, which has double the density of Manhattan, why were they able to knock this down? Obviously, some of it's leadership and a whole host of other things, but it's under housing. You've got folks in Manhattan, all that are living there, but they're hot bunking, right? You got 4 people sharing a studio apartment, and you got a day shift and a night shift, and you never see your roommates. And it's not being able to put a door between you and the rest of your cohort to isolate yourself, and that's really what the data is drawing out. And so, it's this under housing issue, and it's really trying to figure out, how do you get housing for folks and not gentrify a community? How do you not price folks out when you build housing? And it's not building giant apartment complexes, right? There's different ways to do it. Huntington Beach has got one of the most expensive cost per unit development fees, right? It's about $100,000 plus per unit before you even turn a shovel of dirt, just go into fees to the city, the school districts, the parks. But it's about making sure those are right sized, because other cities there are way less than us. And I'm not talking about taking money away from parks or police or schools, but it's about trying to figure out why it's so expensive.
Yeah, I think it's this, like better than most, Dan. The challenges of trying to to do housing the right way, because some would argue there is no right way to do it. At the end of the day, Huntington Beach used to be a sleepy town, like I don't know, not too much going on. It's always been known like a surfer town, but the amount of like attention now to where even a little bit of land is just crazy expensive. And then what do you do with that land? Are people going to say like, oh, we should build affordable housing? Affordable housing? Do you know how much we could charge for, if we had luxury lofts there, right?
But it's not even that. It's the cost of affordable housing it's $400 and something thousand to build an affordable unit. Your debt service is still $2,200, $2,300 a month for that. So it's not even capital A affordable housing. It's attainable housing is at this point, right? Like, the ground is so expensive because we have an undersupply of housing. How does that turn into something that becomes doable, right? And we're not an isolated, you can look to the rest of the world, right? And it's about being precious about certain types of things, right? And we're a big single family home. We don't need any more single family homes in Huntington Beach. We got plenty of them. So it's, what does the next type of unit look like, and what ADUs look like? What do the third unit on your house look like? But giving people the options to do it. We're not talking about bulldozing anything or tearing anything down. I think it's just really, trying to figure out what that kind of looks like. And I think we need to bring the community into that, because we obviously tried once, and I had torches and pitchforks at 8-hour-long meetings saying what the city did prior to me getting there was wrong, and what are you going to do to fix it?
Yeah. So Natalie, I want to bring you back into this conversation. So, I mean, as like the chairwoman of the OC Human Relations Task Force, is that correct?
Huntington Beach Human Relations Task Force.
Huntington Beach. So, you're dealing with all sorts of different challenges and stuff. So, I mean, what does that experience bring you, and just your experience in general? Kind of allow you to be the good candidate that you are. And to address the issues that are, all of the different things we've been talking about.
Absolutely. I joined the Human Relations Task Force in 2017. I applied and was appointed. And the reason that I joined initially is because of all the divisiveness in the community, and just knowing that if we had certain practices, like, better listening, better conversation, perhaps we can start to move things forward. And really, I really think that the practice of listening is key. And most of us really get in there to debate right away. And then joining the task force, I learned more and more about like the origin of it, which in 1997, 96, 97, there were some hate crimes that took place in our city. Former mayors Ralph Bauer and Shirley Detloff created the Human Relations Task Force in 97. And in 96, they actually had created a declaration of policy on human dignity, which was just reaffirmed in the last couple of months by Councilmember Carr and our city council. And really what they did then was create a document and then not an organization, but a commissioner, a task force to really be able to help our community move forward, to partner with the police department on community policing at the time. And, really just to work to, get this idea or this faction of white supremacy to be known and hopefully to move it out. So that was a long time ago, obviously, but, fast forward to 2017, 18, 19, 20, and we still have, quite a bit of challenges in our community, which we've seen. But one thing that I've been able to do with our task force and now as the chair is to try to start getting different activities and programs in the community to really help us move forward. And most of those really have been in the past focused on the youth, because we really can start to make a difference within our high schools. For instance, OC Human Relations has the Bridges program in Huntington Beach High School and also Fountain Valley High School. And that's really been just a key element of having our youth talk about, bias and how hate begins, the pyramid of hate, and also not just the negative of things, but also looking at, how do we value different cultures and learn from them. So that's been a key part of what we've worked on. I helped to create the Youth Voices HB Essay and Art Contest, where we, acknowledge over 100 applicants actually from all over Huntington Beach, all in the high schools, submitted applications for essays and art. And we really feel like that's another way to get through and to build bridges is through art. In addition to that, in this last couple of weeks, we had a HB Community Summit, and that was a 5-session series that was virtual, unfortunately, because of COVID, but fortunately, because we can get more people involved. We had things on reweaving the fabric of our community, police community relations, getting involved in local government. And really what this is trying to do is to find a way to get people to talk with one another and to, through story, understand people's experiences. And so this can seem sometimes like a soft piece of things. And some people can feel, some people don't believe that there is racism, in general, that we're like post-racial, right? And some don't believe that we have that in Huntington Beach, but I know that we do. I see it in my own circles, in different conversations, around our family's table, we talk about a lot of different things. And, we have an opportunity through programs and through task forces like the Human Relations Task Force to do better. And that's what I've been trying to do. And I don't want to say I've been doing it, because we really have an amazing group on our task force that has been doing just phenomenal work. And they've been allowed to do that work more recently, because in the past it was really not allowed to be a more expansive program, but that's changing right now. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And I mean, conversation is the way to go. It's the reason we do the whole show, right? So all for that. And I just want to follow up on something you talked about with the community policing. Could you point to some things that Huntington Beach tried to implement with regard to community policing and some of the projects you engaged in there?
Yeah, so more recently, the task force hasn't worked directly on implementing community policing items, but things that I know were brought up recently. We had a different community dialogue with some of the teens who were impacted negatively at one of the protests down on Main Street. And when we all came together to have a dialogue, our chief of police was there as well. And some of the kids that were there talked about being involved, and I think it's in the LEAD program. And some of you might know the wording or the title of that, but I believe it's the LEAD program where they have students actually participate with the police, both going on, I think they go on maybe ride-alongs and just have other dialogue with them as well. So that's one way that they do that. And then, they do a number of other really just community-related projects, bringing kids out to Target and helping them, get, supplies that they need. I know they have like a different thing, like with a duck thing at the lake. I mean, like just various like local regular things that they do, even going out to like local restaurants and things like that. But there's definitely an opportunity to make those programs, I think, more robust, and not just, kind of like little pieces like that, but really kind of reconnect the dots. And I actually wanted to throw it over to Oscar, because I feel like you might have more to say about that community policing piece, Oscar.
Yeah, definitely. So I do want to say that the Huntington Beach Police Department does put these classes called Citizens Academies, and they're also in Spanish. And so I did this class about 2 years ago, and it goes to show that it can be done, and there's also data to prove that it has been done. Mainly on a small scale within Oakview, since 2006 to 2015, our crime rate in Oakview has dropped 41%. Property crime decreased by 49%. Drug crimes were down 13%, and other offenses saw 32.5%. This is from an article that I pulled out from the LA Times that was written in 2015. And really, like, the city partnered with the police department and the community and the nonprofits to really invest in programs like education, which I really benefited from, and is the reason why I actually went to Cal State Long Beach. So, to say that, it can't be done is not true. It can be. We just have to set, where our priorities are going to be. And I think that, having that, Natalie, Dan, and myself on the council, we could definitely push for some of these policies to be implemented and to be revised, because the data is there. The police department has done the work. And really, it was like the Citizens Academy classes that I took in Spanish. I took it. I could have taken the English one, but I wanted to see how the police respond to the Latino community. And everything was in Spanish. We had police officers that were in Spanish speakers as well. Really, and then I went on a couple of ride-alongs. So actually, one of my commitments too, as a council member, is going on monthly ride-alongs and making sure that we are investing our resources in where we need to be, or where they need to be. And so I think that Oakview on a smaller scale has proven that we could definitely build that relationship with the community. And so that's what I'm pushing for, and it's one of my goals. So yeah.
I went on a ride along too, fool, but it's because I got caught.
Yeah, no, it's actually a pretty cool experience, No, yeah, sure. I mean,
and I think it's a really good story to tell in the moment, when people are starting to have a conversation about what public safety looks like, in our communities, and how it can be done the right way, with like effective and efficient use, of our taxpayer money, to do that, while at the same time being able to invest in our youth and look into, to be proactive and getting to the root of the issue. And it's intersectional. There's many issues.
And that's it. I think one of the big things is investing in our youth, making sure that they have the resources to, whatever they want to do, go to school, college, university, or, go into the trades program. We have a community college in Huntington Beach, and we have, community college board members that are supportive of building that partnership. And not only that, but we have great school districts. We have the Ocean View School District with Gina Clayton Tarvin, who's also willing to partner up. When Dan talks about building broadband, for the city, not like what I have, because I don't know if you realize, but my signal goes and comes. Sometimes it's because the helicopter's flying around here. But building that, what do they call it then? What is it? Not DSL, but
a fiber optic. Fiber, yeah.
So, we have the school districts, community colleges, we have the city partner up. I think we could do something good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of money flowing from the federal government with regard to giving people internet and stuff like that. But I want to call back to something you said. You were just talking about going on ride-alongs, and I've definitely been too. And in my experience, 90% of the calls were relating to homelessness in my city. Yep. So I was wondering, maybe Dan, it's Dan's turn here. Maybe maybe you could talk to us a bit about, what is homelessness like in your city? Is it at that level where basically the police are the front line to handle everything? Or maybe you can let us know.
Yeah, Natalie's obviously, I think, more of an expert on this than I am. I'm on the. It's so great that we have three of us that all have different expertises and different way we're coming at kind of it. We all kind of have the same goals, but the way we kind of get there is different. So I should let Natalie go first on homelessness, and I'll tack in on the. I'll take credit for everything she said.
Cool, nice, yeah.
What Natalie said.
Yeah,
yeah, watch that. No, I've been involved. So after I joined the task force, I joined the Interfaith Council, and from there I ended up getting involved in homelessness. And since then, I've been involved in a group called Homeless United Huntington Beach, which is made up of, it's not a nonprofit even, it's just a bunch of community members that get together, at least twice a month, if not more. We've been getting together like 3 or 4 times a month via Zoom, just to really make sure that we're advocating for, what the city should be doing, making sure if they're trying to do it, that we help support them. And if they're not, that we question things. Homelessness has increased significantly everywhere over the last number of years. I was involved in the point in time count a couple of years ago. And at the time, I think it was like 350 plus people in the community were homeless. Now, we all know the point in time count isn't going to give you really an accurate count of who's really homeless in the community. And even with that, you look at our school districts, they have a whole different way of looking at the number of homeless, and it's huge. I was talking to my middle school son the other day, just trying to get our kids to understand like what things are like locally outside of what they see. And ultimately there were I think it was 5%. It might have been higher, actually. I could get it wrong, but there was a decent percentage of kids at his school who are considered homeless with the McKinney-Vento numbers, which is a different way of looking at things. But the point is there's a lot of people who are homeless in the community. Most of the people in Huntington Beach that are concerned about homelessness, I think they're concerned about the homeless that they see on the streets, there's people who are definitely have a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of drug issues and things like that. But there are many, many more people sleeping in their cars, seniors. There are so many people out there. And, how do we deal with homelessness? How do we stop or address homelessness is we get people housed. So I think, approaching things with a housing first approach is the key. I'm excited that the city of Huntington Beach has back in February, they approved the purchase of the Cameron Lane for both a navigation center. Well, initially it was for housing, or affordable housing. But then now it's being used for a navigation center, working with the County of Orange. Fortunately and unfortunately, these times have brought, different opportunities where the county has actually helped us through CARES money to be able to fund the building of a navigation center. We're using what's called a sprung structure. So it's more of a permanent temporary structure, but they're paying for that. That kind of took a little bit of the weight off of the city at this point, especially during these challenging times. But ultimately, the county and the city working together, we should have a navigation center up in November, early November, looking at 174 beds with wraparound services that will be operated by Mercy House. It's a low barrier shelter, and I'm really excited that after many years of advocating for these things, for a shelter, and that something is finally getting traction and is happening. But we all know that what we need is to be able to get our homeless off of the streets, offer them services, get them the care and support that they need, and get them out to where they need to go, whether that's permanent supportive housing, whatever is appropriate for them to go back home. It really depends on each person's situation. And I think that, that's the other thing here is, a shelter or navigation center is like point A of like 100 steps. So we really have a long way to go, but we have things like the Jamboree Housing Project that was approved last November for permanent supportive housing for seniors. We have, we joined the OC Housing Finance Trust back in February as well, so that Jamboree could get the funding that it needs. And so that moving forward, we can get more of that partnership, both with the city and the county, state, and federal level, so we can start getting the funding that we need to be able to move forward. And finally, the other piece that's so important is we don't have enough mental health care facilities and resources in our community. And I don't just mean Huntington Beach, but throughout the county, the state. And so fortunately, the county is starting to do more with regards to that as well. So I'm optimistic that we're going in the right path, in the right direction, but it's really going to require the will of a council and also really working with people at all levels of government to really try to address these challenges. And that it's not it's not a good or bad thing. It's not just certain types of homeless. I think you were talking earlier about Jose about trying to look at things like, it's a dichotomy, right? Like people are either all one way or all the other. They want help or they don't want help. And, none of these things are true. We need to get into people's personal stories and get them the, specific help they need, and then get them into housing.
Right. Natalie, I think you hit every major point.
Sorry.
No, perfect. I want a Monday morning quarterback a bit, right? That this goes to tie this back to, I think, what we all started with, which is this lack of leadership in our city. That we've known we've had a homeless problem for a long time. We've known what goals we need to reach in order to qualify for homeless shelter funding, to get a homeless shelter open, to move our homeless off our streets and enforce our anti-camping laws to move folks along, to get them the help they need. We've known all of these things that need to be done. We just did not have the effective leadership to execute on these. We executed, what is it, 3 shelters we started and stopped on, I think, before, because either we didn't have the right folks in place to do the community marketing, right? Like when Costa Mesa opened their shelter, I talked to Arliss Reynolds when she got elected. How'd you guys get this open? Oh, well, I was the first person they saw. I knocked on their door, handed my business card, and said, hi, I'm your council member. This goes to districts as well, where you get a little bit more of a community in your district. We're going to build a homeless shelter or navigation center. Here's all the information about it. If you have any questions, call me directly. We find out about everything on Facebook in Huntington Beach, and it's usually from bad faith operators who show up at grand openings for groundbreakings and with a sign saying the ground's dirty, you can't build anything here, but didn't read the environmental report, right? Like, this is where the land use nerd in me starts to come out and say, I heard all this and like, well, let's run that down. The number of times I've had to run down statements where somebody read the executive summary and didn't read the whole document, or doesn't have the background in science or engineering or the ability to call someone who has those backgrounds and say, can you explain this to me? To say, look, there's chromium-6 in the ground, so that means it's going to kill all the homeless people there. It's like, well, if you read the next sentence, it says if you pave over it, all of our guidelines say that is acceptable for the current use. And if we're going to build something there in the future, we're going to have to remediate it. But Huntington Beach, don't ever go digging dirt in Huntington Beach in your backyard, right? You will not like what you find. Huntington Beach's soil, you got to take 6 inches off everywhere. And so,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I was just going to comment on the, you can go ahead and talk about it. The communication aspect that you're bringing up, I think, is super important.
Exactly. And that's, I think we've done this even outside of homelessness, right? We wanted to park cars somewhere on a Navy right of way, but we didn't talk to the residents. We just ran it through a meeting at 2:00 on a Tuesday, and I had 200 people showing up to a meeting saying, well, you can't park cars here. All the people are going to get broken into. But the idea was they were going to use the funding for the cars parked there to remediate the land and turn it into a big park. But they never sold that. And so they were already so far down the line on hating this that we couldn't walk it back. And so, I've advocated that we really need to work on our public information. Our website needs to get scrapped and rebuilt. The way we message to our folks, that we get them all the information that they need. And homelessness has been kind of this key where we've got folks that are in our government that don't believe this is the role of government to deal with homeless, right? I worked really hard to come to Huntington Beach, and therefore the folks that are living here for free are freeloading, right? You get that group of folks. But then you start talking to them about, well, what about all the high school kids that got kicked out at 18, that are living in their car, sleeping on their friend's couch? They're homeless too. Oh, well, not them. Well, what about the single moms whose husband was the only breadwinner and he left them and now they're home? Well, not them. And so you slowly, you start to paint a picture of who these folks are. And then, and in Huntington Beach has always had the beach bums, right? Like the guys that want to live in their car, go surfing all day. And we've always had that. Every community is every community is that, but we now have a large spectrum of folks that are homeless, and for a bunch of different reasons. And I think it is beholden on us as being the greatest, one of the best countries in the world, the biggest state in the, economically, to have this embarrassment of riches, to then have these folks that are sleeping on our streets and not try to help them and get them the help they need is embarrassing to me as a resident of our city. Because we have so many compassionate folks in our city, and the land use goes to this as well, right? That we need folks that are ready to make the decisions that are going to help house the folks that aren't homeless because of a mental issue, that aren't homeless because of a drug or substance dependent issue, but are homeless because their job's in Huntington Beach, their family's in Huntington Beach, and they got to go to work. The number of folks that got pulled off the Santa Ana River Trail that worked at Disneyland would surprise you, right? Like that's the type of stuff that you start to question, like, well, it's expensive to live here. And I don't want folks on a 4-hour drive from the middle of nowhere to come work at the hotels in Huntington Beach. So how do we get that kind of workforce housing that doesn't, again, I don't want to build tenement buildings in Huntington Beach. Like nobody wants that, but we have 140 acres of undeveloped brownfield, greenfield land in Huntington Beach, in addition to the 14 linear miles up each side of Beach Boulevard. We can come up with something that makes sense. And we could do 2 hours on the new housing element coming, the new RENA numbers coming down, which are going to be 8,000 to 10,000 units somewhere. And there's 22, I think I saw my Posey post earlier today that there's 21 or 22 housing bills at the state right now that are going to affect Huntington Beach directly. And I've talked to Oscar about this a lot. And that if we don't do something, if we don't come up with a plan, if there's no plan for Oakview, someone's going to come up with a plan for you, right? If there's no plan for the city, someone's going to come up with a plan for us. And so we as a city need to put on our adult pants and and get in the room together and really have serious conversations, and not just say, well, no, I'm going to put my head in the sand and we're going to fight the state and lose. We're not the sovereign nation of Huntington Beach. We've already lost out on nearly $1 million in parks funding because of our lack of compliance with the state. And we can work with, now we have like legislators that are willing to actually go up to the state and do stuff, right? We've got Connie Petrie Norris and Tom Umberg, and I'm both endorsed by, and we've got Deirdre Wen running, and we've got Dave Min running. And so with those partners at the state level, we can start changing some of the things that we don't necessarily like for Huntington Beach that may work great for other parts of the state. And so we can use our tools to be able to lobby and influence our legislators to help Huntington Beach out, to make Huntington Beach look like what we want it to. But at the same time, we need to actually do the hard work and say, how are we going to house the next generation? Because the number of hands I see go up to say, how many of you have your kids living with you and your grandkids living with you? Not because you love it, but because that's the only way you've got childcare, and it's the only way that you can afford to live it as a family. And then those heads start to nod. The boomerang kids as well. What did I see today? Something, it's greater than a majority of what's Gen Zers, the people after the millennials. I'm the first millennial. I'll be the first millennial elected to city council in Huntington Beach. That they're all moving back home. So like, what's that look like? So there's a lot of questions, a lot of rhetorical questions we need answered, but there's still, we need people that are at least thinking about those types of questions, because we've got some folks up there and we got some folks that are running that aren't interested in solving those problems. They're either interested in wearing their mayor's sash and going to ribbon cuttings, or they're interested in they don't believe that the role of government is to do any of this, and we'll do everything there is to stop it. And we've had that experience in the past already.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points, Dan. There's a lot at stake for in this election coming up, right? Like, in so many ways, on the national level, but also the local level. There's cities that can get a fresh, new batch of progressive and or community oriented, but for sure bold, individuals that will not be beholden to special interests, and will be truly, accountable to the people. And I think that's what ideally folks will see in y'all when they watch this video, to see like what, these are reasonable people with, that are, could be my neighbors, and are raising families and are, helping the community in small ways and big ways. But, and these are the type of people that we need to run and to win, and not these, people that are just on there just to be gatekeepers and continue to say no to progress and true meaningful fundamental change, right? So I want to give it a chance. We're running out of time for all three of y'all to kind of have some final comments, but I'll start with you, Oscar. Again, housing is important, but also, the rights of immigrants and the young people, like yourself and other folks that are, trying to make it happen in Huntington Beach, and I'm sure it's come a long way, especially, but now, we want to take it a step further. So, I'll give the floor to you, good sir.
Yeah, well, once again, I want to thank you for having us here, tonight. We touched a lot about, housing, homelessness, our environment. We didn't really touch about our environment, actually, but, we got a lot of things that are going on. And so I think that issues like the Poseidon Desalination Project can't be ignored either. Southeast Huntington Beach is a section of our community that hasn't really had a voice for them. You have a big development and the Ascon tank farm. Dan talked a little bit about, anywhere in Huntington Beach you go, you need to dig a couple feet and you'll find something. Huntington Beach was an oil city back in the 1920s. There was a big boom, right, of oil. And so everywhere you go, you're going to find that there are, stuff in our ground. And I think we need to make sure that, our city takes care of that as well. And so, I'm running. We have a good campaign going on. It's a clean campaign, people powered, community driven. All of our, campaign folks, Jenny Diaz has been doing an amazing job at coordinating, sending out emails. So if you get our emails, it's because of her coordinating that. We have our phone banks going on. So if anybody is willing to contribute a couple of their time, precious time, we're reaching out to as many voters as we can. And our fundraising, we're still doing, we're doing pretty good compared to what I had expected, but we're getting there. And I think it goes to show that it's the involvement in our community and the work that we've been doing for the past couple of years. So thanks again for having me. I appreciate it. Look forward to representing Huntington Beach because we're not just a coastal city, on our own. We're part of 34 other cities in Orange County. We need to act like it. And so I definitely will bring that to the council.
Website, good sir. Social media.
Yes, website, social media, website, oscar4hb.com. Very easy. Facebook as well, Oscar4hb. And also Instagram, Oscar4hb. So
is it for
Oscar
or
No, it's F-O-R. Yeah.
Spelled out.
F-O-R.
Or is it faux? F-O.
No. Ooh.
All right. Thanks, Oscar. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Dan, why don't you go ahead?
All right, I'll keep it short. So thank you guys again for having me on the show. This was a great time. I always enjoy speaking together with Natalie and Oscar. It's always enlightening. I always learn something new. We're running our campaign here to really change the leadership in our city. We have 3 open seats this year, and we have 3 more open seats in 2022. Mm-hmm. So we're going to change our council. We're going to change 6 members of our 7-member council in the next 24 months. So we need to make sure we've got folks in there that are ready to lead on day one. I have a proven track record of making hard decisions in our city that weren't necessarily popular with folks, but in the long run, either a magistrate or a judge has ruled that my decision originally was correct. When the majority of folks, were just trying to do what was politically expedient. And in the short term, I would have saved the city money. In the long term, we saved a lot of animus. COVID recovery is going to be our number one thing. Normally we'd be talking about housing and homelessness, but everything is shaped under COVID recovery. And I've got several plans to help leverage the city's assets to help keep folks in their homes, to help get our small businesses open faster, and to make sure we keep our folks safe. I'm hoping that November brings some more federal aid to the process and to really help us move forward that way. Homelessness, which we spoke quite a bit about, is something that we really need. It's the number one quality of life issue in our city right now, and we need to start putting our resources into that. And then I have my pet project is obviously community broadband, or what's called a public option for broadband. We have 2 carriers in Huntington Beach. In some cases, you only have one. You have Frontier. Frontier filed for bankruptcy back in May, and they're just about to come out of bankruptcy right now. And then we have Spectrum. I think no one has good things to say about either company at this point. We need some competition here, and I think COVID has really shown that we have this digital divide, not just among low-income folks, but seniors. We have a technological divide, but we have a geographic divide in our city. So I think we need to start thinking about how we're going to build that infrastructure in order to bring new businesses into our communities. The cities that have been able to get broadband, high-speed, inexpensive broadband into their communities, see startup companies show up looking for that cheap broadband, right? People are starting to startups in their garages. So it's pretty interesting and fantastic. And actually, I saw something come across my wire while we were on our call, and congratulate Natalie and Oscar on receiving the Orange County League of Conservation Voters endorsement. So we talked about, we stuck the environment in just a little bit there.
And to you too, Dan.
Thank you. That's so it's we've got these really great grassroots organizations, and I think Sierra Club will be announcing their endorsements here soon as well. I've served on the Bolsa Chica Land Trust Board for quite a while, helping to preserve open space at Bolsa Chica, and so the environment is obviously something that we want to preserve. The open space is something we want to preserve, and I voted against projects that were to rezone open space for residential property. I think that we've got enough land to do housing projects that don't involve taking space that was all decided on as open space. So we've got sites that are industrial, commercial, whatever. We can talk about those converting, but I think that it's preserving our open space that we have is the motto of Bolsa Chica Land Trust: is save it, don't pave it. So my social media handles are all dankalmick.com, Dan Kalmick across the board for everything. So I think my Facebook one may be Dan Kalmick HB, but luckily there's not a lot of Dan Kalmicks in the world, so it's pretty easy to grab all those. But thhank you again for all your help. I'm number 14 on the ballot, so I think all the way down, the penultimate person. So that's the folksy way we talk about it. So thank you guys again, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next thing.
You're never folksy, Dan. I wanted to mention before I kind of go into my closing that, we talked a little bit about the communication from the city of Huntington Beach about things. And I wanted to give a little bit of props to our city manager and the team there, who have really started to kind of up the ante on things. And they have a new website, hbhomelesssolutions.com. So if people want to get updates on the navigation center and things like that, please go there. Better to listen to or to read what is there versus just reading what's on Facebook and social media, and go ask the questions and they'll update the site. So that's number one. And then, really, I wanted to thank you all for having all of us here. I really appreciate Oscar and Dan, and it's been really such a pleasure in these last number of months. I knew both of them already, but to really get to know each of them and what I think that they would bring to the city council. I'm proud to be, one of the three of them, of us working in Huntington Beach to try to change things and make things better. And I mentioned before that I've had some personal challenges in my life, more medical in the past, but I've found in times of challenge and discomfort that those are the opportunities for real change and transformation. Because with just complete disruption, you just have to look around and say, like, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to rebuild things? So I think that the crack is the place where the light gets in. So looking at that, then it's the question of, like, who do we want to be? Who do we want to be as a community, as a city? my friend, Reverend James Pike, who's in the pastor at the Lutheran Church of the Resurrection in Huntington Beach. Number one, he is hysterical, but number two, he's just very insightful. And he asked, he said, who would we be if we really believed that we belong to one another? And I think that that's a great way to frame things. And I think if we think about taking care of each other, we will listen to each other differently. We will make decisions differently. And that's the way that I want to approach things. As a mom, I want to make my kids proud. I want to help build a Huntington Beach that we want to not only live in, stay in, but to thrive in. And hopefully my kids will want to stay at as well and not leave, not flee. I want them to be here with me. And so I think we have an opportunity to reimagine our story together and to really do that through evidence-based, solid planning and decision-making. And I also think that, while our community can sometimes feel very divided, I know that we can agree on way more things than we think that we can. There are a lot of things that we can come to agreement on. And, the key thing is that the basic principle of how we deal with one another, right? And, I think we can join together to achieve our common goals and truly become the 1HB that we espouse to be. So, I'm honored to be endorsed by a lot of different organizations, including what Dan already talked about, the League of Conservation Voters. I found out today that I am also endorsed by the Huntington Beach Firefighters Association. So I'm very excited about that too, by our congressperson, and all the other amazing folks, Cotty Petrie Norris, Dave Mann, and former mayors Ralph Bauer and Shirley Detloff and more, and also Kim Carr and Jill Hardy. But, beyond all of these endorsements, the thing that we want is that I respectfully ask for your vote. I'm number 10 on the ballot, and my real goal is to do my best to help build a brighter future for Huntington Beach. We do have 3 open seats. I hope that you will vote for the 3 of us. I think that we would do a good job and really complement one another as well. And finally, again, I really do thank you all for letting us have this opportunity to have this conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much to the 3 of y'all, Natalie Moser, Dan Kalmick, and Oscar Rodriguez, on the It's Happening show. Best of luck to all 3 of y'all. You're champions in every which way, and it's been really, it's been really nice hearing from you, especially Natalie and Dan, since I hadn't met y'all before. But Oscar vouched for you, so then I guess that was already set this into the groundwork for y'all. These are good white folk. Just kidding. Yeah,
I did not say that.
You didn't. Yeah, no, but no, it's great. It's good to really to know that there's good people in Huntington Beach, that are fighting the good fight, and in all sorts of fights. Cancer survivors and housing advocates, and immigrant rights, and and all sorts of beautiful, amazing ways. So once again, thank y'all 3 for being here with us tonight, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jose.
Thank you.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Wow.
That was awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
Need more time.
Yeah, 3 guests. That's like the juggling. Like, whoo! It's like,
Woo. No, they were good. They were coordinated. So.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk more about the environmental justice aspect.
Oh yeah, definitely. There were some key decisions made about, maybe the next current decisions made about Poseidon. They're tabling it for next.
Oh man, yeah, that's not going away anytime soon. But
yeah,
with the different endorsements that they're looking to get, it seems that they are on the right side of history when it comes to that topic in Huntington Beach and all cities, and definitely in the beach cities that are dealing with the effects of climate change and pollutions and all sorts of things. Yeah, man.
Yeah. But this was. I'd be excited to have these people run in my city. Obviously, you could tell by everything they said tonight, they're very engaged and knowledgeable. I definitely learned a lot tonight, and so excited for these candidates for sure.
Absolutely. Each one brings a different kind of approach to it. A different.
Yeah, they're kind of like a dream team.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It was pretty cool. Yeah, the dream team.
Yeah.
So and that's the kind of leadership that Huntington Beach desperately needs. Everything that I've read has not been good, and I think there's a lot to be said about a lot of the fodder and the things that happen with the loud voices, but everybody that lives there, like in any city, just wants to have good schools and not and everybody have a roof over their head and build good community unity, right?
Oh yeah, and
it can happen.
Oh yeah. Well, I one other comment. I did notice a couple of key themes of things I think are important for progressive politics touched on, and by the time I said that, I already forgot what they were. No, but Oscar definitely mentioned the clean money campaign. Trying to run a clean campaign. We also Natalie also mentioned evidence-based policy. That's a good thing. Let's try to do things for good reasons, right? Things that we can prove, things that we can show you we have a good reason for, right? And it goes to another thing others said, maybe Dan brought it up, but tribalism, right? We can't be making all our decisions based on just tribalistic allegiances. And that sounds like it's a problem in Huntington Beach. It's a problem in a lot of places, right? But these are all these core progressive principles that we need to push forward, So it's great to hear it.
Absolutely. So I hope and pray that on election day we have all sorts of things to celebrate locally, because this could be a moment. This could be a moment of high voter turnout. So really have an opportunity for grassroots, community-oriented candidates to break through and bring that desperately needed change to councils. We don't pay attention. I think for a long time, and still a lot of people do not pay attention to local politics. They get caught up with the boogeyman at the federal level, right? And everybody's talking about the orange guy, but like, man, there's a lot of work to be done locally. A lot of orange guys and gals, i.e., people that are tied into this big money interest, paid, with big developer money, big, and big, special interest money in every which way. And that can't work. It's not going to work. We need to have something better. So that means, we need to engage more voters. Voter engagement. Finally, reasons to vote for in Huntington Beach and cities. So good times.
Yeah, good stuff.
David Duran said Anaheim could use them. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we clone you guys? Okay.
Seriously. All right. Dylan, how are you doing? You're keeping cool?
Yeah, I'm sweaty. So I made the
showers a day?
No, I'm going to need to shower. I made the very bad mistake of not turning my fan on before this, and because I am so committed to the show, to the production value of the show, I did not get up.
No,
to ease my comfort, because that's the struggle, though. Wait, okay, I'm canceled. Right now. I'm canceled. I'm canceling myself. But no, yeah. So I sweat for the show. I don't bleed or cry, but damn it, I sweat for the
show. And I drink for the show.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sacrifice.
Woo! A liver sacrifice.
Oh,
man. Hoi. Oh, okay. Oh,
I'm
in some pain there. Okay, go ahead.
Ooh. Getting old.
Hoi. My hips. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
All right. Well, so good luck to the Connected Council. I think it's gonna be good stuff.
Good times.
There's like some fireworks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have special effects.
Oh no, not that kind of fireworks.
Oh no, not that. Oh
yeah. those set off fires. We're not. I mean, but people don't care. Santa Ana, like I finally, it's crazy. After 4th of July, or like a week after, there wasn't that many fireworks for like a good couple weeks, but they've been starting to come, go off again.
Oh yeah, yeah. Any holiday.
Yeah, if you got the connect, hook it up, homie. Like, have fun.
Yeah.
Get some
big guy.
fishing off.
Call me. Wait, are we online still?
Dude.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, I don't no experience in that. I wouldn't know how to get black market fireworks in the slightest. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fireworks at the Connect the Council forum.
Oh yeah,
they're coming.
Expect a lightning
oil
round.
rumble.
Expect Norberto Santana Jr. to grill some candidates with lightning round questions.
Oh, yes or no?
Yes or no?
Yes
Okay.
or no?
We're trying to make those questions a little less brutal, but just a tinge of brutality in picking a side. So.
Oh my God.
Yes, indeed.
Right.
It'll be good. We'll get to know our candidates, and other groups are doing forums, so there'll be plenty of opportunity for our community.
Yeah, there will be.
Indeed.
All right. Well, I hope you stay cool.
Ooh, not like
both. Yeah. Like
no, like
no,
mentally.
Mentally. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. Stylistically.
Yeah, that's I've been working on that.
Yeah.
Beardly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beardily.
Beardedly cool.
Fantabulous.
That's my word.
Hey.
All right, I wanna thank audio video engineer Edgar Silva for holding it down. Iron Lion Media, videos.
What?
It's your boy.
Videos.
Audio.
Buttons. Yeah. Pressing buttons. Yeah. What? Woo. Effects. Yeah, is he doing effects right now? Just pretend he's doing effects.
Yeah, he's putting up his Iron Line Media with the mask on.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's
Hold
nice.
on. All right.
You got buttons.
Put up our logo. That's
Press buttons today. Okay. Wait.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even have a Karen's Corner. All right, we'll have to wait.
Oh man.
Yeah. There was
It would be better if we never had to do it again, but if it needs to be done, we will report it here.
True.
Yes. True dat.
True is that.
That is the real hope, actually, that we report the Karen stories, but the real goal is to never have to again. And that's going to put us out of a damn job. So,
yeah. Like
the nonprofit struggle.
it's real.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank everybody that tuned in for the first time. Please follow our show. Yeah, definitely. Once again, thank you to our guests. They were groovy.
Oh yeah.
And great. And they were just the best guests we've ever had on the show.
Is that you saying it or Trump? I'm kind of confused.
It's me as the Trump spirit overcoming my body.
You do channel it weirdly. I think you might have some energetic affinity with this, some vibrational synergy going on.
Ugh.
Let's hope not.
From Dylan Thompson and Jose Gloria. Big thank you to Executive Director of this show, Jenny Diaz.
No longer interim Executive Director.
Yeah.
I think that you got the promotion.
Yeah.
So
good work. and Jose Gloria and all of us here on It's Happening family, we are signing off. It's happening.
Para no ver lo que es verdad, te han engañado, no es libertad, lo que tú vives es vulgar, ser un esclavo sin descansar mientras que el burgués se aprovecha de tus labores, hay que luchar para vencer este sistema capitalista.